Enlightened World Network. It is my honor today for Author's Corner to have author Dr. Ellen Albertson. She is the new author of Rock Your Midlife. It's a beautiful read, and we're going to dig in deep. So, Ellen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ruth. It's so great to be here. And it's just so great to be part of your network. I have been, been part of your network for about 2-3 years now. And it's just always a joy to share with your viewers. So thank you.
Absolutely. So first of all, Ellen, you call yourself the Midlife Whisperer, which is perfect for writing this book of Rock Your Midlife. So first of all, how did you become the Midlife Whisperer?
Well, initially just working with so many women in midlife. So I started off my career as a registered dietitian, and then I was a personal fitness trainer. I found out throughout my career, which is spanning 30 years and also as a Reiki master, everybody coming to me was at midlife. And, I'm at midlife, have gone through the tough aspects of midlife. And I just love working with this age group, particularly women. And so the interesting thing about the idea of the Midlife Whisperer, I was at another EWN, which is not the Enlightened World Network, but the Entrepreneurial Women's Network. I was at their meeting and I was thinking, what is my brand? We were talking all about branding. This idea popped into my head. I'm the Midlife Whisperer, right? Isn't that how we get these divine downloads?
Right.
And I was shocked that nobody had it. So I was able to get the trademark and utilize it. And the funny thing is the about an hour or two after I came up with that idea, I was in a talk. There was someone from Dell who was talking about computers. And he was just using as an example, the jewelry whisperer. So it was kind of like this, divine confirmation of like, oh yeah, this is like the right way to go. So that's how I've become the Midlife Whisperer. And I think it really says what I do. I have a lot of fierceness to me. Tigers are my power animal, but I also have this soft, intuitive, like, it's okay, I've got you quality to it. So I've really enjoyed the moniker.
Right. Now, you have actually lived what is in this book. So often authors will write about nice ideas or things that they've heard other people talk about, but you actually have lived everything that's in this book. Do you want to share with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my life prior to probably the last, it's been a cycle of change, particularly the last 4 or 5 years. It was like I was climbing up the ladder of success, like crawling up it, right? But it was against the wrong building. And on the outside, my life looked, perfect. I had a nice house, a husband who seemed right, the 2 kids, the dog, the whole 9 yards. But inside, I was absolutely miserable because I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't listening to my heart. I sure as heck wasn't loving myself. A lot of self-loathing, thinking that I needed to beat myself up to get anywhere in life. Energetically, again, on the outside, it looked great. I was a nutritionist, personal fitness trainer, but I was exhausted. I had Hashimoto's disease, which is undiagnosed. I had clinical depression, and I was totally in the spiritual closet. So this book is about my 7 steps that I actually followed. For me, I think it really started with discovering self-compassion. The universe jumps in what you need. I was looking for a dissertation topic, and my dissertation chair said, why don't you teach meditation? And I'm thinking, I didn't go to school I was getting my PhD in psychology. I didn't go to school to become a meditation teacher, but it was the perfect thing for me. I was fortunate enough to connect with Kristen Neff, who is the pioneer in this whole area of self-compassion. She required me to do the self-compassion training. I went on to become a self-compassion teacher, and it's did that 180. And because when you learn self-compassion, which is essentially learning to treat yourself the way you would a good friend, it's kind of the how of self-love. You stop doing things that insult your soul. You stop doing those things when you're not in alignment, when you're not in integrity. And so that was the big thing. And what I love about the book is someone can approach it at any of the 7 steps. You might feel like, okay, I need to work on my energy and my physical health, or I need to work on my authenticity. For me, the self-love piece was the piece that shifted everything. But yes, I did live through all of the steps, the health crisis, the divorce, the finding myself, finding my voice, my authenticity. And I share a lot of my stories as well as the stories of my clients in the book.
So I love this phrase, and I've used this phrase from you before. Stop doing things that insult your soul. I love that. In this phase of midlife, not only is it important to stop doing those things that insult your soul, but also to stop doing those things that insult your body. How
Yes.
does how we treat our bodies impact how we maneuver this thing called midlife?
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. Well, obviously, how you treat your body, it's your, divine vehicle that takes you through life. So if you are eating processed food, you're not eating a lot of plant foods, you're not getting exercise, fresh air, sleeping enough, you're going to feel crappy. You're probably going to develop some kind of chronic illness. And we know that 80% of dis-ease, which is imbalance, is caused through not having a healthy lifestyle. So if we're not healthy, we can't really make our next chapter our best chapter. We can't enjoy midlife. We're going to be spending our midlife going to the doctor. And unfortunately, there's not a lot that physicians can do. I mean, they can give you pharmaceuticals, but it makes a lot more sense. And this is actually the story of my fiance. He was diagnosed with high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and they wanted to put him on pharmaceuticals. And he was like, no way, did the research, looked into the lifestyle change, which is not anything, new. It's all about eating more plants, eating less, moving your body every day. So if we're not taking care of our bodies, we honestly, it's going to be a problem at midlife. I mean, stress plays a huge role as well. If we are, generating a lot of cortisol, we're in a lot of fear, we're going to have a lot of inflammation, which is the root of so much stress. It's also going to affect your mental health. So the foods that you eat, the way you treat your body definitely affects your mental health. And it also affects your energetic vibration and your imprint as a light worker. We are made of light, literally. Our bodies are made either from plants, which come from the sun, or from animals that eat the plants. Now, if we're eating a lot of packaged processed foods, we're not getting that life force energy. My fiance has this amazing garden. Literally, even December, we're going to the backyard. We have a greenhouse. We go right out, we pick our own kale. And I'm not 100% vegan, but I eat that way most of the time because I want to make it to 100, and I want to live in what is it that I'm just thinking of that phrase, your body is your temple. It honestly is our temple. It is our home base for that energetic vibration. It's the way we present ourselves to the world. So important. And that's the third step, is really energizing yourself, really taking in those foods, and positive emotions and positive thoughts too, all play a role in how we approach midlife and how we feel and the work that we're able to do in terms of the healing work in the world.
Ellen, in midlife, one of the beautiful things that comes through is as a woman matures and she gets to know all of the aspects of her, when she really steps in and embraces every aspect of her and brings that out so other people can share. It just feels like the pearl in the oyster. You've worked your whole life, and here's this beautiful, amazing sage or wise woman that comes out of this. Now, part of your going through your midlife was embracing all of the aspects of you. And you're just yourself coming out of the closet with one of those aspects of being an intuitive, a spiritual intuitive.
Yes, I think that for me, I grew up in a scientific family. My father was a scientist, had tremendous success. And so I wanted my parents' love. And so I was the good girl. I had, I had other sibling who would act out more. And I just wanted to be loved. So I was always thinking about, okay, what is going to be acceptable in my family of origin? And for my family of origin, what we call woo, which literally are things which don't have scientific proof. I mean, when you talk to your guides, when you do, healing work, it's very real. And we know that, but we don't have the measurement and the technology to actually measure these things empirically, right? So for me, discovering things like Reiki, being intuitive, connecting with spirit guides, all of those kinds of things was not okay. And so I stayed in the spiritual closet. I would dabble, I would read things on my own. I have probably, 30 decks of tarot cards. I've been reading tarot cards for 20, 30 years. I love doing it. It's part of my DNA. I've been doing Reiki for probably almost 30 years at this point. But those were things that I I don't know if I wouldn't quite say it was a shame, but within that family context and wanting my, parents, particularly my dad, to be proud of me, that wasn't stuff that I was comfortable coming out about. Right. So, but it was interesting when I actually did about Reiki, the universe. I don't know if you've had this experience, the universe, sometimes when you make that leap, just is like, yes, right on. So that when I decided to teach Reiki, I had three miracles. The first was that the class completely sold out. So I'm thinking, I live in Vermont. Of course, everybody's had Reiki who wants it. I had 18 people sign up for the class and the limit was 15, which was just like, whoa. The second miracle was incredible. There was one student and his finger was completely bandaged to this big fat bandage that was, you could see the blood oozing from it. And during the Reiki, when you're doing Reiki, you give attunements where you're holding the person's hand. And during it, I felt this just like fierce compassion come over me. Like I'm just crying and I'm feeling this. After class, he took his bandage off and I kid you not, the wound was healed. He had totally sliced his finger. He was going to go to the hospital and get stitches. There was just an indentation, no scar.
Wow.
And then when I got home, there was an email from this Reiki magazine asking me if I wanted to be interviewed. So it was like the universe saying, yeah, right on. So, it's definitely worth it if you are. And I've worked with a lot of clients who are really a little scared. And when we do it, when we show up as our true selves, it feels amazing, right? We take off that fear, we face our fears, we take out those masks. But the cool thing too is that we give other women permission to do the same, because the world needs all of us as healers right now. And by stepping up and saying, this is who I am. I mean, you think about like the healers, in Salem, they were herbalists, right? We're not going to get burned at the stake. Nothing's going to happen. Fear is just an idea in your brain to keep you small, to protect you from what your brain perceives as danger. This primitive part of our brain, I talk a lot about fear in the book, because you have to get unstuck and face your fears if you want to rock midlife. And that was, a fear of mine, to really come out and say, yeah, I'm a healer. This is part of what I do. Yes, I have an octopus brain and more degrees than a thermometer, but I'm also a healer of healers, healing other healers, sharing my enthusiasm for doing healing work. So, getting out of the closets definitely was a big part of my midlife trajectory.
Right. And I know how hard it is to come out and really put yourself out there to others. It really is taking risks. And you walk us through that so beautifully with your book, that it's okay to take risks. And not only is it okay, it's really critical for your personal, spiritual, and emotional development. So thank you for that. Your book is so full of so many techniques and strategies. You could actually just dig into this and every day take a different technique, or every week take a different technique. And it would take you quite a while to get through this because there are so many strategies. What is your favorite strategy in this book for where you are in life right now?
Yeah, it would be practicing self-compassion. So self-compassion, and that's a whole step two, is really about being kind to yourself rather than critical, changing that critical self-talk that we think we need, that self-critic to motivate us, but self-criticism actually undermines motivation. So talking to yourself the way you would a good friend, that's the first part of self-compassion. The second part is common humanity, knowing that we all make mistakes, we all struggle, we all, suffer. And when you realize that you don't feel so alone, when something goes wrong, instead of going, oh my God, and why is this happening to me? Or you do something that you're, feel kind of bad about. You're like, all right, I'm a human. I made a mistake. This sort of wabi sabi idea of the cracks are where the light get in, our flaws are what make us human. That's how we learn. And then the final piece is mindfulness. So being aware when you are struggling or stressed, instead of just plowing forward and trying to fix it or ignoring your emotions, asking yourself, what do I need right now? And in my work, I work with a lot of women who, when they feel difficult emotions, the first thing they do is they run for the food because they want to feel better. And as mammals, when we're feeling threatened, we're feeling, that cortisol stress, we go to the dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter of reward. So, when we're having that threesome with Ben and Jerry's, it could feel really good and we're ignoring our issues. But when the carton's gone, you're still stuck with that initial issue. And when we open our hearts up to ourselves, which is what self-compassion is all about, we find that, you could really be your own best friend. So the self-compassion is really, to me, my favorite technique, my favorite way of being that's really transformed my life. And just, I think we were talking a little bit off air of how important it is for light workers to heal themselves.
Right. So, Ellen, when somebody connects in with you, whether it's through your book or whether it's through your website, they get so much more than just connecting, just an author. So many authors, all you get is the book and that's it. They're not connecting with you personally. What do people get when they connect in with you, Dr. Ellen Albertson, the Midlife Whisperer?
That's such an awesome question. I'm so glad you asked that. They get my energy. When I look at my gene keys, I actually have this joyfulness about me. And I've worked at it. I had clinical depression. I work really hard every day to be joyful, to show midlife women that life can be awesome. Every day is a blessing. Every day is a gift. You can be joyful. You can be happy regardless of your circumstances. So what I'm really sharing is my energy. And I think that ultimately is that what we want to share as energy workers, is sharing our light, sharing our enlightenment. It's like we can be, the flame, or we can be the reflection of the flame. So sharing that energy and hopefully helping women, particularly with the pandemic. I think midlife women it's been really hard. A lot of us are in charge or impact 4 generations, our grandkids, our kids, our peers, our parents, or caregivers. We experience a lot of burnout. And so if I can help someone see the light and the beauty in them by seeing the light and beauty in me, which we're all connected, it's all the same light. That's really what you're going to get. And I'm hoping the book will, and my videos, other things that I share, that people are really feeling that sense of hope, that sense of energy, that sense that midlife can really be the best time of your life.
I know personally you have different apps that you have done. You have different videos. You've got emails that you send out. You really connect in with folks, and you make yourself available so folks can get that little dopamine hit, that little, oh yeah, I am okay. I'm a woman. I'm going through this particular phase in my life. And it is a particular phase in your life. Midlife is such an interesting time because not only do you have whatever's happening hormonally, but you're also happening, whatever's going on in your world with your family, or sometimes it's the ending up of a career or the ending up of a relationship. It is a fascinating time for women, and you help folks to feel, A, that they're not alone, B, that they've got support, and really see that they've got this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it really is that it can be that chrysalis time. I think that if you're not on your path, if you're on your path, and I meet some midlife women who are just soaring because they've been on the path the whole time. They didn't get off the way that I did, in my 20s and 30s, kind of living the way someone else's dream, right? Instead of living your own. But menopause creates a lot of havoc. We're going through empty nest. We might have aging kids. We might be experiencing difficulties with our relationships. It's all kind of a wake-up call. Plus, there are a boatload of transits. So if you study the astrology of the time, we've got this, Chiron return. We've got the second Saturn return, which happens at the end of the 50s. We've got, all of these transits, all these planets coming around, which are this ginormous wake-up call that's saying it's time to get real with your life. I think midlife is really the time when you realize that there is less time in front of you than behind you. And for me, I'm a lot more afraid of getting out to the end of my life and looking at it and going, oh my gosh, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, than I am facing some of my fears, coming out and being myself, getting up in front of, media, those types of things. I'm much more afraid of getting to the end and going, why didn't you do those things when you had the chance to really make a difference?
Right. We don't want regrets at the end of all of this.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, Ellen, if people want to know more about you, we know that they can find Rock Your Midlife on Amazon, and I've included the link in the description. But if they want to know more about you and how to connect in with you and to work with you, how do they do that?
The best way is just Google the Midlife Whisperer or go to the midlifewhisperer.com. All of my links to all my social, if you want to follow me, are there, as well as this contact information if you'd like to work with me or explore the possibilities. I love working with spiritually minded women. If you are struggling with your authenticity, you're struggling with your energy, your self-love, your relationships, all of those things, I would love to sit down and have a conversation and talk about where you want to go and potentially how I can help you get there.
Perfect. Ellen, our demographic is predominantly 40 to 60-year-old women. What last words would you want to say to our audience?
Oh my gosh, be yourself. No one can tell you you're doing it wrong.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ellen, congratulations on this fabulous book. Truly, folks, treat yourself, whether it's for the holidays, your birthday, or just because you're alive one more day. This is really a treasure. And I have read it. And I read it online first, and then I loved it so much I bought the paperback. And so now I get to go through and earmark the pages that I want to go back to. So friends, thank you. Ellen, thank you so much for being here today, and congratulations again.